is the latest item from, I'm going to get it up on screen now, because it's a whole line of merchandise that I've wanted to talk about for a little while, because they did reach out to us, and I've got a picture of it somewhere. Yes, here it is. So sometime last year, in the comics world we're talking about now, there is a small independent comics company called Cutaway Comics, and they're based in the UK. And for a little while now, they have been bringing through new titles based on old Doctor Who characters. So I don't know if you're familiar with this one, Charlotte, whether you've seen Revelation of the Daleks, the 1985 Colin Baker story. Do you remember? Do you remember William Gaunt playing Orcini, the Knight of the Grand Order of Oberon, and his squire, his smelly squire Ian, who looked after his weapons for him? You remember those two characters?
Ian wasn't the smelly squire.
No. I'm the smelly something, but I ain't smelly squire.
Smelly mega geeky.
They have now, if all goes according to plan for Cutaway Comics, they're going to get their own one-off.
Why?
One. Be nice. They're going to get their own one-shot comic book here, Orcini from Cutaway Comics. And this is the blurb. It says, exiled from the Grand Order of Oberon, celebrated Grandmaster Orcini and his brave squire Bostock traverse the hinterlands in search of honour amidst the chaos. However, it soon becomes clear that they are not alone in this strange part of the galaxy. Is the hunter about to become the hunted? What it is, they kind of crowdfund these comics. They're up on Kickstarter. They're looking for people to invest in them, to take them to print. If you do this and you order direct from Cutaway Comics, you get an exclusive DVD with lots of extra content. And the general gist of it goes something like this. There's a newly recorded Revelation of the Daleks commentary with some of the cast members. There's Trevor Cooper, who played Tarkis, and Colin Spore, who played Liltia. Very memorable characters they were, along with the director Graham Harper. Fantastic director of both classic and new Doctor Who, Graham Harper. So they're doing a commentary on there. There's extra video content, so extended highlights of a little discussion there with Graham, along with trailers for their other comics. So we've got Omega and the Paradise Towers comics. So yeah, we had a bit of an exclusive on the Omega one a little while ago now, so that went really, really well. But yeah, it says, there's a bit of a blurb here, and it reminds us where we first saw them. You've seen there on screen now. On the right, there's William Gaunt and the gentleman who played Bostock. I can't remember his name now. That's terrible of me, because I love those characters, and I really like the fact that they're diving into classic history for these characters there, JT.
Well, I've got the Omega ones. Can you see them? They're there.
Yeah, they put out a mini-series of Omega, didn't they? That was illustrated by John Ridgway. Now they're doing Paradise Towers.
Do they have the rights to do this?
Series.
Yes.
Yeah. All characters where the rights are owned independently by the writers who created them for Doctor Who.
Explains it then. Okay. Yeah.
So there's some with Eric Saward, based on the character of Lytton too. And I think that from what I've seen, Cutaway Comics, just like Character Options, again, they know their fan base. They look after their properties. They're building something out really quite modestly. And I mean, I think this artwork on the front cover here, that's beautiful. I don't know if that's Adrian Salmon, but it's certainly very similar to his style of work there on that artwork cover. Yeah. Really like that.
How did I get up there?
Oh, sorry. I do apologise. It says this is written by Eric Saward and features a cover and interior art by Adrian Salmon. A fantastic graphic artist, in my opinion. I've always loved his work. It's been a mainstay of Doctor Who magazine, and it's a full-colour, one-shot comic. One-shots are traditional. they're popular in the comics world, but they include sketches and the commentary from the artist and all sorts of other things. So again, the link to go directly to Cutaway Comics and invest in this, join the Kickstarter. That's also in the description of this video. We wish them every bit of luck in the world with the Orcini comic. I've always loved that character. Is there any character from a Doctor Who story, in classic or new, that you think they could make a great comic book spin-off of?
Leela. I love Leela. Leela, she'd make a great comic.
Would you set it before she met the Doctor or after it? Would it be all in animal skins?
No, yeah.
Gotcha. Changed his tune there, didn't he?
After the Doctor. She's a great character, in my opinion.
Yeah, spin-off for Jenny, says Starry-Eyed Girl watching in the chat. Anybody else?
You'll have to ask David Tennant for that one.
Yeah. Oh, we've got maybe this. What's this one? Maybe the spin-off Downtime in that. If there was, I'd do a review on it. I like Downtime too. They could do some comics with Kate Lethbridge Stewart. She's a character that I think has had several incarnations that people really like.
Don't they do that now? Isn't she in the graphic novels that Titan produced now?
She may have been in one or two. I don't know. Osgood's been in one. Yeah. Simon Horton watching in the chat. This is a novelty. This is great chat, folks. Loving being an observer.
And Simon, what picture are you using there for your avatar? That looks nothing like you, Simon. Absolutely, absolutely nothing like you.
I think that could be what they call. I think that's what could be what they call a headshot, Simon.
No, do you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the old BBC staff passes. Oh, God.
We've got PJ Maybe watching along in the chat, who says, I managed to pick up some classic Doctor Who stuff today, collecting it next week, VHS, and a couple of good books. Some
Fabulous.
New Who stuff that will be given to a friend's daughter. So we're begging, borrowing, and stealing the good stuff to build up our collections of stuff. But we get donated this stuff sometimes, don't we? That's happened to me loads of times.
Yeah.
And yes, Digby Strawbridge asks, are these the same people who did a comic about Lytton? Yes, they are indeed.
Yes.
And more power to them, more creativity in the Doctor Who universe. That's what we like. And characters that we liked when we originally saw them.
What about the Tooth Monster? They should make a comic of the Tooth Monster. Do you remember that? that would not sell.
That's a Whittaker reference, isn't it? Because I don't get that one.
We had nearly an hour bashing the Whittaker and Chibnall era.
The brilliant thing about people like Cutaway Comics is that it's very similar in the setup. Is that it's keeping comic books alive, isn't it? Really, because we all know the comic book industry has been hit by all this wokeness and all this nonsense that's going around, and you have to feel for it. I mean, you look at all the people it must have put out of work in America. How awful is that? We're starting to see it in what's left of the small amounts of comic industry we've got here, are all foreign owned anyway. So to have a truly independent British small business saying we want to keep the comics going and we're going to use some of your favorite characters, how wonderful. And I mean, to use known fans from Doctor Who magazine, like Adrian and everybody else there, John Ridgway, a giant in the illustrations for Doctor Who comics. You know, he did the Colin Baker era and a bit of Silver as well. Voyager is a classic, isn't it?
And in the comic book world, and in the world of illustration as well. You know, the man's illustrated so many books. And big American comic books too. When American comic books sold, you know, both DC and Marvel, we know they're both in major trouble at the moment. Who knows what's going to happen there? So for Cutaway Comics to be carving out their own niche with characters that we really loved the first time, and telling nice, lean stories. Yeah,
it's exciting as well because there's new characters in the Omega book that I've got. There's the backstory, because they have a backstory in the back pages like we used to do when we were kids.
I love
it's all about life on Eden, years before the Mandrels, etc., etc. So there's new characters here, and they could evolve, and maybe they could spin off into their own comic books eventually, etc., etc.
Starry-eyed Girl says, yes, that's true. Support small businesses. They need us more than ever.
Yeah.
Charlotte, some of us need...